We try never to judge a book by the cover because we have seen many times persons who choose to dress more casually or comfortably, and they actually have more wealth than the guy that's fully decked out in logo wear.
You're listening to 15M Mastery, a show that empowers you with insights from the leading iGaming experts to enhance your personal or business performance. The show is brought to you by tech-driven affiliate and media company Already Media, and supported by the AI-powered data analytics platform Blask, and Yo Investments, a fund manager investing in outstanding people who are disrupting the iGaming, fintech, and crypto industries. Hey everyone, and welcome back to 15M Mastery. Today, we're joined once again by Kevin McGowen, Chief Executive of Bombay Club. Kevin has spent decades hosting the world's most valuable players and designing VIP programs. In this episode, we explore how top land-based casinos attract, host, and retain high-value guests. Welcome back, Kevin.
Hey, thank you, Demi, and thank you for having me here.
I absolutely loved our previous conversation, so my standards for this one are quite high. So let's get straight into the action.
Okay.
So what personal sign, besides obviously money spent, tells you a player belongs in the top VIP group?
Yeah, I would say that when you see that type of client begin to treat the venue as their personal club, that's the first step, followed by they request their table, whether it's in the restaurant or on the gaming side or a private salon, their preferred dealers or croupiers, and their familiar wait staff that they're happy with, that understand exactly the do's and don'ts, as I mentioned in a previous session, of which drinks to bring, which food to bring, what not to bring. And they ask for that experience to be arranged without any hesitation. I'd say that that's a sign.
But do you try to identify it like somehow during his requests, or let's say he's entering the club and then you got like some special visual signs, like whether he's wearing something or I don't know, like the car he's driven, like are there any like super high level pre-screening patterns you might identify immediately?
We try never to judge a book by the cover because we have seen many times persons who choose to dress more casually or comfortably, and they actually have more wealth than the guy that's fully decked out in logo wear. So that is a sign of money, but not necessarily a sign of wealth and luxury pursuit. So yeah, we're very fortunate in the higher end side of things that the actual pre-screening is data driven. So in that respect, we have background checks. We understand from, public data information that's there. Oh, this is a person of means. They come from generational family wealth, or they're captains of industry, or they're A-listers, or poker stars, which are A-listers to us as well, as we go. So I think it's that combination of those things that are the most important. Further, anyone who enters our building, we treat as a VIP from the very beginning because that's a service, and there's no reason why we shouldn't be able to offer that.
I absolutely love it. I think that's the mentality you need to have in order to make anyone feel like a VIP, and even sometimes turn someone into VIP as the result of your top-notch service.
Great point.
So the question is, how do you actually move from fixed VIP levels to a more personalized VIP journeys without losing any operational control?
Yes. It could be challenging, but the idea is that you build a framework so that you have the standard types of programs that people can follow that are linear, right? Visit this many times or spend to this threshold, and then this unlocks a benefit or a membership level status. But building the framework so that you have flexibility is the most critical. Keep the core tiers for the tracking and the benefits. That's fine. Layer in player preferences, detailed hosting notes, behavioral insights. And again, I have to really focus on the things that they don't like. Remember that. Don't do it again. Listen and make sure that they understand. And then we use predictive models to anticipate needs and personalized experiences. I mean, you don't even need an AI module for that, although it's quite helpful, to be able to see where patterns are and where we can raise standards. In my previous roles as chief executive of a high-end Mayfair club in London, in fact, we operated probably north of 500 different bespoke loyalty programs for our top 500 clients. each tailored to the very unique, desires of these kind of wealthy foreign nationals. And they are very different in terms of what their expectations are. You think about the framework and you say, look, there's this amount of reinvestment labor and goodies and perks that you can give to a client based off what they ask for, so that reinvestment dollar or amount might be X, but how you spend it and how you apply it can be 500 different variations. And it's important to be able to build a model that supports that, plus the traditional structured one, which is the guaranteed benefits.
Is there a certain level of rewarding? As you said, you ran 500 bespoke AP programs. And how do you define the maximum possible reward amount, per GGR or per deposit spend of a particular person? Because still, you need to combine the operational business margin with the same time, being able to provide guests with a unforgettable VIP experience.
Yeah, I mean, again, great segue. So you have to first start with what are your trading conditions in your environment, right? So, here in Tallinn, we have, it's a startup market, and it's a very high end, basically undiscovered destination, right? Which is wonderful because it can only improve from here in terms of people knowing about this secret location. And so really it comes down to those conditions. So the regulatory framework in terms of customer protections, when it comes to what is the tax obligations or gaming duties and things like that. Are you allowed to offer credit? Are you not allowed to offer credit? All of those things have to shape the foundation of this before you can determine how much you can afford to be able to reinvest into the relationship. But I would say if you look across the universe or in the multiverse here, if you look at the Far East and you look at Singapore and you look at Macau, and if you look at Australia, if you look at Las Vegas, if you look at the Bahamas, and if you look at London, Monaco, soon UAE, you'll see that in general, it's a 30 to 50% reinvestment ratio versus GGR. Technically theoretical, but versus GGR effectively. But again, it's nuanced because here's the thing, and this is where flexibility is very powerful. Let's say a client is incredibly generous to your team and they share. So tips are important, right? I certainly look very fondly onto a relationship where I see multiple contributions in that relationship, not just GGR per se. That person may be a great restaurant spender. That person may be, like I said, very generous to the customers. So you tend to look at the margins of each of those areas and also look to what are your brand standards and your values. And you incorporate that secret sauce to be able to determine when it could be appropriate to do more versus, kind of the standard on that. And it depends on what your horizon is. In a relationship, I'm not looking to make a quick buck on a relationship. I want a 30-year friendship. So I may reinvest a little heavier at the beginning because I'm trying to establish that and make a good impression, and also respect. Respect is a very critical element here. And then, you see how it plays.
I love your insights here. A lot of things to learn, and as we discussed in the last episode, a lot of the things which are not applicable online yet. And your answer was a pure gold here. Thank you so much for it. So I wanted to ask you more about non-cash rewards, because sometimes it feels like this could be special for top tier guests, and sometimes they don't. So how do you decide whether you need these non-cash rewards and other also bespoke or specific for all of your clients?
Okay. Yes, absolutely. This is a very critical question. So when it comes to rewards or perks that come, look, the clients that we cater to are very direct with us, and they know they're seasoned. So they know what they need, they know what they like, and they're very honest about that. Of course, everyone will always push where they can to see if they can get more goodies, and that's human nature, and I respect everyone for that, but it is an adult to adult conversation in these cases. The soft experiences, the soft skills, tangible or intangible elements that have nothing to do with cashback and things of that regard really come down to maintaining high touch check-ins, aka casual messages with the clients. So whether that's the CEO that's actually just touching, hey, how are you? Whether it's your birthday, whether it's an anniversary, clearly those things are important. But some cases I talk with my clients on a daily basis. In other cases, it's once every 6 months. Again, knowing the difference of that level of engagement that they want is important, but doing it is critical. So when it comes to relationship marketing persons and so on, that's that scenario of still not even advertising the casino or anything, but just checking in on the person. Hey, everything good in your world? What's new? How's Susie? How was football practice? How's your dog? Did you go and get the dog's grooming done again? Last time I remember you told me this story that was crazy. It's important because we're friends. That's neat. That's very needed. Also, adding personalized events, invitations, trip planning, thoughtful gestures when it comes to that, where it's more of a, hey, I know you're planning to come again around for the festive period in Tallinn, as an example. And the Christmas markets, the festive markets are like amazing experiences. I was thinking that I don't know if you're coming or anything, but if you come, we could do this on Monday because they're lighting the tree. And on Wednesday, we can do, something else where we can toast those nuts and marshmallows and things of that nature. That's important, because it's also shaping, what the next trip might be, but it's thoughtful in thinking about what are the things that are interesting to that individual, because they're an individual and they have their own tastes. I would also say just ensuring that all communications still add value, but never transactional. In tone, because that's very tacky, and that's appropriate for call to action retail environments, not very appropriate when it comes to higher end relationships. That it's understood that will be discussed. You don't need to be heavy in that regard. And also ultimately, again, from previous conversations you and I've had, consistency. Consistency is the word. The goal is consistency without pressure, keeping the relationship warm, but, not pushy.
That's a pure gold of an answer, mate. Thank you so much for it. So a lot of the people in the industry, they treat VIP experience like a little pushy, as you mentioned, right? And it's very important to find that balance between transactional interest and the interest to the persona, like as you said. So I wanted to ask you, which safeguards help balancing, giving players a world-class service while keeping them still protected away from possible consequences of gambling, obviously?
Okay. Yeah. And this is very important, and it's become far more important in the last decade or so across the planet. And again, more recently, I worked in London Mayfair. And I would say that in the UK is known for having probably the highest standards in respect of consumer protection and so on. Maybe sometimes a little bit overzealous even, because again, it's relevant to the wealth band of the client as well. So as an example, if I show that I'm enjoying this type of entertainment more aggressively than maybe others that are in the same room or that visit and so on, that's not necessarily a bad thing. But you do need to make sure you conduct regular wellness and emotional check-ins by trusted parties. And that could be as simple as you and I having a dialogue. We're having coffee, and it's like, hey, I see you've been going crazy for the last 2 days, enjoying yourself. Everything cool? Are you all right? Yeah, I'm fine. That's great. I've been working this business deal. This is my only holiday. This is what I do to unwind, to enjoy myself. And we're good. Because as far as we're concerned, that's honesty. We've confirmed that from this interaction, and that's sufficient. At that stage for that type of relationship. Also, applying periodically internal affordability markers, monitoring spend behavior that's expected and so on. But again, if you're dealing with billionaires and multimillionaires, it's relative to their wealth band. So as an example, you and I might take our families out or, our loved ones for, putt-putt golf day or a bowling alley for the night, and you spend 500 euros looking after your family with snacks and drinks and fun and so on, and arcade and those kind of things. I have to say it is exactly the same thing. It's relevant to your income band. So if somebody has a net worth of 100 million and they are choosing to spend 100,000 on baccarat per bet, and they've set a limit to say, I'm happy with my allowance for this holiday to spend up to $1 million, it's fine. It checks and balances. And again, we're not here to tell them what to do. That's inappropriate. Now, conversely, if I don't know anything about you, of course, I need to ask those questions to make sure you're okay. And the source of funds are coming from a legitimate source. I would probably also opt, the basic things that you would expect, offer opt-in limits, voluntary cool-off periods, and self-checking options. Those kind of things are expected. Those are baked into a lot of platforms now, and that's great. And at any time, someone can invoke that. That's appropriate. But again, that personal relationship of sense checking, how are you, and how things are going is very good, particularly for well-trained individuals that understand that. And I would always frame interventions in a tone of care and discretion, not control and not judgment. Judgy, because that can be really taken the wrong way. And that would end a relationship, and nobody wants that. People are here to have a good time, and to get away from other issues, not to create new issues as they go. And I think also, again, wealth band, just to reiterate that, as long as you have enough information about the relationships that you support, you tend to plan these things out in advance to anticipate any concerns or needs for the clients in order for them to have the most optimal, best time ever.
Thanks a lot, Kevin. And I think these are great insights, how to work with VIPs, and not only, like as I mentioned, offline, but most importantly, online. And for those who want to look after the VIP players. Thank you so much, mate. I enjoyed our conversation. It's been a pure gold, and I enjoyed it a lot.
Demi, thank you too. I really appreciate it, and I hope to come back.
Of course, always.